Namaskar to all of you. I'm welcoming you all to our YouTube channel for a discussion on business risk taking. Today, we have with us a change maker, Antony, who is a social responsibility and educational enthusiast and goodwill consultant. Welcome, Mr. Antony.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, and we also have an enterprising entrepreneur, B.V. Venkatshyam, a real business risk taker. Welcome to you, sir.
Hi.
We also have Changalaraya, the retired Chief Manager of State Bank of Mysore. Sir,
Charming
welcome.
Chief Manager Changalaraya.
Yes,
thank you
charming
both.
Chairman. Okay.
Thank you, Venkatshyam and Jayaprakash, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. I am very happy to be with you, the three members in our panel. But mainly, our Antony will be our main guest, and answers will be supported by Venkatshyam. At the end, I request Mr. Changalaraya to share his opinion about our program. Yes, Mr. Antony, what all the research to be undertaken before kickstart of any business?
Yeah, so, sir, research as in it is a pretty much valuable model which helps out any business before a business could be started, or even any sort of research on the business to be done. So this particular research is pretty much required in every parts of operations, every parts of business operations. So research is required wherein in terms of to understand, for example, let me put in few thought processes in terms of to understand what is it your demand and supply. So to do a demand and supply analysis for your business, whether your product is demanded, does it as a demand in the market, okay, or your product doesn't has any demand or it has less demand. So these sort of aspects comes into picture when it comes to the demand and supply analysis. And let it be any other sort of analysis as well. For example, which particular state or which particular country or which particular region your product is going to be sold, or your product can be sold better. So these sort of researches as well are much required. So that's the reason I said that research is a very, very imperative and important part of any business when you could start, or even as our context, even our main context, which says business risk takers. So when you are getting into a risk, or when you sense a risk, again, if you would have done a proper research model previously, that is going to help you out, and that is going to give you a boom for you to go ahead after the risk. So these are all few of the
Great. I just want to ask Mr. Venkatshyam about his opinion.
Primarily, it is as Antony said, it's the understanding of the opportunity, size of the opportunity. And automatically, when we look at the size of the opportunity and the opportunity in itself, it will enhance our personal ability to take risk, right? Okay. So there are certain things, if it comes to my understanding of risk in a business, there are two parts to it. One is the operational risk. One is the starting risk. Starting risk is at a personal level. The second one is at the operational level, where there are lots of risks that we take in. It could be a simple marketing risk that we are taking. It could be a financial risk that we are taking, and things like that. So, the research part of it helps in mitigating the risk that we are taking, and then makes sure that we are aware of what we are getting into and working towards betterment of it. That's where the change comes in.
Yeah, that's nice of you for sharing that information. And Mr. Antony, what are the strategies for risk management?
Yeah, so when it comes to the strategies, again, different forms of strategies we can put in terms of handling the risk. For example, let's call in a strategy called as SWOT analysis. What is your strength? What is your weakness? And what are all your opportunities? And what are all your threats? So when you do this analysis, you find out where you stand in terms of your manufacturing, or in terms of your services, or in terms of your food supply, anything, any business for that matter. So one strategy is called a SWOT analysis, and there are different other strategies as well, which will prove us by proper reporting strategies, wherein you take out the report and you do a due analysis on what has happened in the past and what is that you're predicting on your future business model. So these sort of reports as well will help you a lot. So we all need to build these strategies very importantly. So what is going to be my strategy for my business, and what is going to be my strategy to handle the risks and to handle any sort of issues in the coming days. So that's going to help us out, because a business without a strategy is not going to help out and not going to travel far. So that's
Yes.
the
Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Venkatshyam, I
Agreed,
know
agreed.
that you are a
That's-
very strategic man. What do you
No,
say?
no. See, as Antony said, I just like to add one simple thing. Doing nothing is also a strategy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Keeping quiet.
It may be right or it might be wrong.
Ah,
Doing nothing is also a part of a strategy, right? So, so that's one of this thing. And strategically, if we have to add, I think Antony will come into this thing. There are so many ways in which you actually strategize yourself to ensure that your risks are reduced. And you are sure about the uncertainties that you are going to face, and ensure that the venture that you are taking forward and moving forward is going to be a success.
Every activity can become a strategy.
Correct.
As you're saying. Yeah.
Agreed.
If it is planned well. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Mr. Antony, while talking about risk management, is stakeholders to be involved or not?
Yeah. So, sir, when it comes to the stakeholders, so there are different kind of stakeholders when it comes to a company, right? So, normally the shareholders are called in as the stakeholders, right? And in any business term, but let's say in literal terms, we call even the employee of the company as a stakeholder, because the employees are also important for the company, right? And to run the company well, everyone, the vendors and the employees and even the security guard, everyone is going to be one of the stakeholders, because they carry a weightage part in that particular operation of that business. So everyone carries a weightage in that ways. So I would rather say each and every one who ensures that the business is run end of the day is a stakeholder. And when it comes to a discussion about your risk management, or when it is an important discussion, it is better we involve every representative of different stakes, or every representatives or different departments in your business. Okay. So for example, there is a risk which has happened in your business. For example, let's say you are not selling well comparatively to last year, and you are very poor. You are becoming very poor compared to last year, and you identify, you do reporting, and you find out what is the issue, why it is happening, and why there is a lag in your business, right? So when you involve every stakeholder and discuss with them, there are chances that everyone will come out with their valid points, and it is going to matter end of the day, and it's also going to make a huge difference in that ways. So that is how we should be involving the stakeholders, and it is my recommendation that everyone needs to be involved, and that can be a better change in your business. And apart from that, individuals can also have different viewpoints in terms of no, only the management has to be involved, or only the top management has to be involved in that ways. But yeah, a certain topics, certain discussions can only have the management, as simple as that. But when it comes to a very important decision making or very important risk handling, I think every stakeholder can make a difference. So that's what for my
Yeah.
So the stakeholder is looked at as a partner in the progress that we are trying to make in the business, as Antony rightly pointed. But we also need to remember, if we are in something like R&D kind of a thing, right, and we are creating something of an intellectual property. I think he missed out saying, so I'm just adding there. So intellectual property or a patent that is to be filed, very crucial information and things like that. we need to figure out which stakeholders know about it and who don't know about it.
Don't know what. Yeah.
Yeah. We are risking leakage of information there. So that's a risk that we will be riding on. So that is one crucial thing that I think we should look at. Otherwise, what is said is right, because involving stakeholders in decision making, enhances the strategy that we are taking, or the steps that we are, action points that we are taking to ensure that the business runs more smoothly and better.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And since they are all in agreement, they know in which direction are we headed and what is to be done. That's a very, very important point. Yes, I agree with that.
Yes, that's fine, sir. Mr. Antony, what are the common mistakes made by businessmen?
So I believe we have discussed few points in our previous discussion, and few points would be, if an individual is missing out on the reports, or if an individual is missing out on the strategies, or if the individual is missing out on involving the stakeholders and having a discussion. So these are all going to be few of the misses, and this cannot be identified so easily as well, because when we run a business and when we start a business, we look at how we move on to the next level, and that is categorized only in terms of where you move up on your revenue. So these points might be getting missed out, but if these important deliverables are being added up, I think
Yes,
we can make it up.
Yes, Mr. Venkatshyam.
JP, adding to what Anthony said, one major thing that I've seen is people don't spend enough money to run their business.
Okay.
There is a cost of doing business. So they would want to cut that cost of doing business, which hampers that this thing. And the second major mistake that they do is hiring wrong people, primarily because of cost factors. Right? They want to save costs, so they hire wrong people, and then when you hire wrong people, they do wrong things. So that's the second major one that I've seen. The third one is they go wrong when it comes to understanding competition. Right? It could be they might underestimate the competition or overestimate the competition. So which again is another major reason. These are the three factors that I can recall and then say that are the reasons why are the mistakes that normally any businessman or entrepreneur tends to make in his business.
Okay. Yes, Antony, what about marketing plan and risk management?
Yeah, so what I would present in terms of marketing plan, it is one of the pretty much vital and pretty much most required aspect of any business. As Venkat sir was saying, the teams miss out on spending, right? So marketing is one of the important spend for any business, and when we miss that, and when that is being missed, that is one essential tool which is very much required. And for example, we have also formed especially a team in the recent times called as branding with think entrepreneur. So we have formed a team wherein we reach out to the brands and we also help them out in terms of the marketing ideas and preparing the marketing plans and making ready with their digital marketing aspect, because most of the companies don't even have a clue of what marketing is about and what a 360-degree marketing plan is about, because this is mainly this has come up mainly because, as we discussed, the teams focus, the companies focus mainly on their sales, mainly on their revenue, but on the other hand, they miss to spend the time on what they need to spend and what they need to market about, because that is going to help their company to a greater extent, and rather than looking at the sales merely, because it might look good that without a marketing plan, without a proper marketing plan, that in the short term, your business might look better and might look bigger. But down the line, when you travel and when you move on, when you look at a long-term strategy, when you look at a long-term plan, for sure, marketing is a must, which is required to move up your business and also to establish your business among the other competitors.
Yeah, of course, marketing is the main thing. Yes, Mr. Venkatshyam.
Primarily branding, as Antony
Yeah.
said. Branding is one area which most entrepreneurs miss out primarily. Basically because they don't focus on branding, as they won't have clearly defined the core values that either the product or service is going to take it across to the customer, or the product or service which they are taking it across to the customer. That is one, this thing. And the second mistake, second thing that has to be looked into and mitigated as a risk is, you start, when you start or have a product or a service, you start talking to everyone in whom you come across. That might not be the right audience to talk at all. So that's a second mistake which happens. And the biggest one, and the third biggest one, which I can see or think about, is assumption of what the customer wants. We assume, I always say this, assume is a funny word. First three letters is ASS, as, and then you have you, and then you have me. So if you assume, you are making an ass of you and me, right? So don't assume. So forget assumptions. Get into reality is what Antony pointed to, and I will also point to.
Yes, that's fine. And what about the new entrepreneurs who are entering in the with lot of tensions and all, and their risk management?
Yeah, so new entrepreneurs, sir, mainly for the new entrepreneurs, it is very, very important. They need to learn about the basic points or the basic actionables. For example, let's say about business plan. Preparing a business plan doesn't gives a proper idea to most of the new entrepreneurs and most of let's say, for example, even the student entrepreneurs. So preparing the business plan becomes a very big task for them. Okay, but on the other hand, they need to understand about the business plan and they need to prepare it very, very well in accordance that they are more passionate about the business and what they want to do. And next would be in terms of their research as well. So the new entrepreneurs miss to do the research because they don't have that much of time and they don't have that much of resources to do a research. Okay, not blaming them, but they don't have that much of resources to do the research aspect. Yeah, and they need to do the research for sure, because the moment they are going to only form the business and not going to do a research, they're going to lack in something. So things like this normally get missed, and even the demand supply analysis, as we discussed. So most of these things are much required, the most required, and they tend to miss. And especially, let's come into our main topic called risk management. So they need to do a very proper analysis on what all risk they can foresee and what all kind of risk they can come in meet up with one fine day. For example, they start the business today, and 1 year from now, there might be a bigger risk. So they need to keep their heads ready for it. And they need to be heads up for any sort of situation which comes up, any sort of futuristic situation. So these risk management give a lot of lessons, a lot of learnings to the new entrepreneurs, especially because only once they face, they start to scratch their head. And before they could think about this particular risk, they can stop meeting this risk itself. So so that's going to be one of the other great learning. Yeah.
Yes, Venkatshyam, about brand new entrepreneurs and risk.
As we discussed in the first question, Antony has said that you have to do research, right? You need to understand where you are getting into. If you don't know where you are going, wherever you go is fine, correct? But if you have a destination to go, then you would mark the right route and then go. It is as simple and as clear as that. So it's all about, if you are taking risk, there is a financial risk, there is an emotional risk. These are two things which are involved, right? So many a times people underestimate the financial risk and they completely forget the emotional risk that they are taking. What if the product fails? What if the venture fails? Right? It's an emotional risk. You are carrying a baggage of risk there. So all these can be looked into very well only when we do some homework onto it. The moment we do some homework onto it, there would always be risk mitigation plans, as you were saying, plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. I mean, the 26 alphabet plan. I would say it would be 676 options. A, B, A, C, A, D, and all those things you can create.
Okay.
Right? So you can create many options to it, and then you can go on. So that's where the story is. So as Antony says, you should have done your homework in the first instance, right? Built your brand, done your market research, and then you step in. Automatically, you can mitigate all your risk.
Yeah, the next question is on market research only. And what about market research and risk management? Yes, Mr. Antony.
Yeah. So market research is, I think we have spoken a lot, sir. We have spoken about market research a lot, right, in our complete discussion, because that's one of the very important and very vital aspect of any business. And they need to do, there has to be a proper market study for any sort of business which comes up. So the market study happens in terms of where your product can sell, and where is your target audience. So when you hear this particular term, it's a very vital term in any sort of business setup. Where is your target audience, and what is your USP? So these things talk about your overall market research plan. So let's get into the target audience. So for example, you're making a suit, for example, which is of a different quality, and which is ultimately which gives you a maximum comfortable sense when you wore it, and you are very much unique in that particular fabric. So how you find out your target audience, so where you reached your target audience and how you reached your target audience, so that's going to be one of the very important aspect. And let's come to USP. So USP is called as unique selling point. So what is your unique selling point for your product? So so let's say the suit example which I gave you. So the suit which you manufacture, what is the USP in it? Why people should buy it? Why cannot people buy a different suit? Why should they come for yours? So what is there in your product? What thread you use? What material you use? And who manufactures it? So those are all the USPs which you can give, and these are all few of the points which covers under your market research.
Okay.
So market research is a very vital step, sir. Yeah.
Any additional
research is
information?
very, very huge. Antony was saying.
Okay.
Very huge subject. In fact, you need to define what do you want to understand when you're doing market research.
Yeah.
Why do you want to do market research is what Antony was articulating it. So unless you know why you want to do a market research, it would be unclear. Is it the demographic research that you're trying to do, or the psychographic research as we discussed it out, or is it understanding of the competition that we are trying to do in the market research? So these are things that we have to define. There are so many things which research may not point out also. Classic example is if Amazon and eBay, when they started 27, 28 years back, had done market research, or even Apple, when they were building the first personal computer in the world, if they had done market research, it would have come out very, very evidently that the market did not need it. But once the need was made to understand through the market communication, saying that when the market research comes back and says that market does not require this product, we need to give out a reason as to why that particular product is required by the market and how is it going to make their lives simpler, easier for the user, or if it is a service, then how does the service taker get benefited out of it? That articulation as a branding point also comes out very, very well when we do market research. So it's an essential part of this thing, and it's an essential evil. If you don't do market research and learn quickly before you do things, market will teach you lessons which are going to be expensive.
Correct, sir. Before going for the last question, I just want to share the information that I have written book on Solugalige Enjidiri in Kannada and Fear Not Failures in English. Okay, and I also welcome all of you to listen to my show Solugalige Enjidiri with JP Nagathihalli at Radio City 91.1 FM at 10 a.m. every day. This starting from today, that means 8th of June 2021. Why I have shared this information? Because my next question is on mistakes and failures. Learning through mistakes, learning through failures. What makes the difference, Mr. Antony?
So this is a very wonderful topic and one of my favorite topic as well, sir, because learning from your failures is one great opportunity which everyone gets, because not everyone succeeds, but everyone meets with failure. So end of the day, so what happens is when you meet up with a failure, what happens is immediately you get the feeling of either emotional trauma or you get into the feeling of panicking, right? So that's what normally happens. But when you look back at your failure and you look at your future, okay, you can easily find out that there has been a connect which you have learned from your failure and you have given back something in the future. So failure also helps you learn. It doesn't only hurts you or breaks you or puts you back at the back foot, but it also helps you learn. And failure gives you a lot of success steps which you can evidence yourself and which you can easily climb on. So if you ask me the question how, especially when you come across a failure, you learn why I shouldn't fail, how I can be without failing, right? So that you evidence only after you fail. Only once you fail, you find out the lesson, how you can present yourself and how you can get away from that failure, right? So the very incident called failure gives you that learning. So when you try to treat failure as a precious product, it obviously happens so that you can create your success steps end of the day.
We should treat it as an experience rather than just a failure. And what's the view of Venkatshyam?
Okay, JP, if I have to add, at times we get into renovation of our homes. I'll just go back to that, right? So we will destruct some part and redo it. So why are we doing it in the first instance? Primarily because there was a failure in our planning, or the change that the situation and time brought in that particular point, space in the house was not useful. So we decided to reuse it. So at that point of time, we go into a destruction and then do it. That's point number one that I wanted to, or analogy number one, which I wanted to make. The second analogy which I wanted to do is, there is nothing wrong in going back, right? If we look at long jumpers and high jumpers, they go away from the start line. They go backwards from the start line, right? And then they come and then take a leap. They jump, right?
Right.
It could be a long jump or a high jump, right?
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong in going back also. But what we'll have to look at is what is the cost of failure,
Yes.
right? Or the cost of mistake or cost of failure is something which has to be looked into.
Yes.
Some expensive failures teach very, very responsible lessons for a lifetime for all of us.
Yes.
Right. So looking at that, as Antony said, learning from the failures, moving from one failure to another, not doing the same mistake again, is a hallmark of a successful leader.
Yeah, to sum it up, all success stories have chapters of failures.
Correct.
So definitely, I want to thank all of you. At the end, I request Mr. Changalaraya for his closing remarks. Yes, Changalaraya.
Thank you very much, sir, for the privilege. First of all, I thank our eminent speakers of the day, Mr. Antony and our another expert, D.V. Venkatshyam, sir. Today, I did not know about this business and all about risk, but I came to know from their talk. I learned so many things today, sir. They have told about the types of risks involved in the business, namely personal risk, operational risk, financial risk, emotional risk, all those things. They have given the strategies, how to reduce the risk, and also how the stockholders are very, very important in business organization, and how we have to make our SWOT analysis before starting the business, and we have to come back after taking the failures into account, because failures teach us a lot of lessons to us. From them, we can learn so many things, sir. And all these things were told by our experts. I am very, very happy, sir. This program is a very, very wonderful and fantastic. And newcomers can also get these ideas and start their business very newly. And they will be very, very informative, I think. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all, sir. Thank you.
I thank all the guests here. Thank you very much. So please do subscribe to our channel and like our channel and share this video to as many as people possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My pleasure.